begin with news just in from the US state of California, where 3 people have been killed in a shooting at a food festival. Police have just given an update saying a 19-year-old man armed with an AK-47 type assault rifle opened fire on crowds. Among the dead is a 6-year-old boy and a 13-year-old girl, as well as a man in his 20s.
The gunman was also shot dead by officers who arrived on the scene less than a minute after shots were fired. Police are still trying to figure out why and how the attack happened.
We don't have a motive for the shooting as yet. We did have reports of a potential second suspect. We don't have any confirmation that any second suspect did any shooting, but we certainly are investigating all leads to try to determine who that potential second suspect is and what exactly that person's role was.
Mass gun violence is an epidemic in the United States, and yet one never imagined such a thing can happen here in our beautiful community.
5 people remain in hospital, 1 critical, 2 in a serious condition.
This is just a tough situation for our community, for our staff, for the families and the victims. It's just awful.
A gunman opens fire on a Northern California festival Sunday evening, leaving several people dead and more than a dozen others injured. Hundreds of festival attendees running as gunshots rang out. Some witnesses say there was confusion at first over whether the gunshots were actually fireworks.
I think once we heard the gunfire, I realized what it was. I think some other folks knew what it was.
The shooting happening on the last day of the annual Gilroy Garlic Festival. Police say they believe the suspect came through a creek before cutting through a fence to enter the venue, then firing into the crowd.
People just running for any exit they can get out of the park.
Dozens of federal and local officers responding to the scene. Authorities say the suspected shooter was killed following an exchange of gunfire with police.
We thank the brave members of law enforcement. They never let us down.
People in Gilroy now in mourning, vowing to remain united as they recover.
Gilroy is an amazing community, a tightly knit community. It is such a sad, just horribly upsetting circumstance that this happened on the 3rd and final day of this year's festival.
Along with searching for a possible second suspect, police are working to zero in on a motive behind the nation's latest mass shooting.